stone soup is an European folklore I watched when I was a kid. In this story, there was this villager, a traveler that got to a village at the verge of famine, and he was quite hungry. He needed food to eat. But like I said, there was famine, so everybody kept what they had to themselves. So as hungry as he was, all he had was an empty pot with which he filled with water, set it on a fire, and started cooking what is known as the stone soup. So he was cooking the stone, which he added at some point, and the villagers, out of curiosity, came closer to him. Hey, what are you cooking? He said, I'm cooking the stone soup, but if you get me carrots and some other veggies, I can make this soup even sweeter. So the traveler cooked the soup with the stone and a couple of veggies. Then at some point, he took out the stone and he just was left with the veggie soup that he shared to all the village and the villagers therein. So he was able to make a difference with what he had, an empty pot. This is how my journey started. I was a girl, like every girl can be, quite young, as you can see over there. I had my parents to thank for all that they gave me and taught me. I went to a girls-only secondary school, a girls-only primary school also. I guess they didn't find a girls-only university. They would have sent me there. So upon my arrival at the university in the ICT department, I was in the class of 40 boys and 2 girls. And that was actually the first time in my life I would be in a place where there are no girls everywhere, because I was used to that all my life. And I came to this reality, a shocking reality, I would say, that due to gender, women actually in a larger society are kept away from some things based on ideology or opportunity that is not made available to them. And that was how I discovered the stone soup I had to cook. From that point on, I made up my mind to work for the inclusion of women in technology. So I started with what I had, which were the skills I had. I started a developers club in my university, and in this club, I trained, everyone. We're just 2 girls in my class anyway, so it wasn't as though I was making a lot of difference. But I started that, hoping that somehow, just like that villager in the stone soup story, someday other people will contribute their veggies and other veggies that they have, so I can make it even better. I went ahead to graduation, and some few years down the line, in the year 2015, I was nominated by the International Telecommunication Union to participate in what I call the Transform Africa Summit, what they call the Transform Africa Summit, held at Kigali in Rwanda. And we're supposed to be part of this Searching for Matter project, where we're supposed to work on how to inspire young girls in technology and basically in building mobile applications. And for the first time, after a long time I left the secondary school, I was in a room filled with women who are actually talking about technology. And that was how I got the first carrot in the stone soup I was cooking. While I left this conference, I was already training some few girls based on the opportunity I had from the Google Women Technical Program. So this Transform African Summit program brought to me the plus I needed to know how to inspire and to better reach more women in technology. So I started sharing my stone soup with the women in the women technical community. I was doing training session week in, week out, and with the training session, I quickly positioned myself as a mentor, mentoring young girls and women generally in the tech domain. And from that point on, I was always at the lookout for opportunities that can actually give me better leverage. It wasn't as if I was reaching the world at that point in time, but I was doing what I know was best, and I was using the opportunities that I had at that point to reach the women in my community. Then in 2017, I received a phone call from Admiral Joe Staster. It was an ex-US congressman. First of all, when he called me, I didn't know he was calling me. He said, am I on to Rachel? I said, yes. But I didn't even believe it was my own RACHAEL. Then he said, I want you to train some youths in Benin and lead them to Washington to participate in a robotic competition. I said, okay, and I accepted the offer. At that point in time, upon the recruitment of our team members, we could not have any female in our robotics team. So we have a competition to participate in. So we went ahead with our team of 5 boys to Washington. At the verge of this competition, Benin emerged African robotics champion and 7th of 163 participating teams. This gave us the visibility we were not planning to have. And the whole team and myself, we decided to leverage this opportunity to start what we call the Girls Focused Robotics Training Program. Just some few moments before that, I had been privileged to participate in with the international organization or Francophone organization in an hackathon they call Media Labo, where my role was to train and mentor young African startups to better their idea. A very fantastic thing about that program was that it availed me the opportunity to be included in the team as a woman in technology, which I did. And every time I'm talking with a team and I see some few girls in the team, I'm so excited. I tell them how happy I am and how proud I am of them that they are doing exactly what they are doing. I remember sometimes when I board a flight and I see that the pilot is a woman, I walk up to her and say, I'm proud of you. And I like the fact that you are an example for women in technology. All this contributed to my story, to the fact that when we had the opportunity to start the robotics training program, we actually thought about making the robotics training program a girls-focused robotics training program. So with this visibility that we had, we took advantage of that opportunity and we trained over 400 plus women in Benin, girls in secondary school, in robotics training program. Today, we have been privileged to have most of these girls participate in both local and international robotics competition. And some of the interesting milestones in this program was the fact that we did not just go ahead to train robotics, with male robotics trainers. We actually trained women, undergraduate girls in the university who were trained in STEM education. And they served not only as trainers, but they also served as role models to these girls. And that was how my stone soup went from what I shared with 2 girls in my class to one I share now with not just with the world, the global world as it were, what I also share to women and girls in my community and also that I share with the society at large. So some of the milestones that we got during this program was the fact that we could actually have a lot of girls who are now interested in core STEM discipline like robotics. And at the verge of this program, some of these girls now tell you things like, I want to become a doctor, but I want to work with robots. I want to become an accountant, but I want a robot that can help me in my skill. And at that moment in time, I saw that what used to be for me just a passion, a desire, had now been a passion that others share with me, and I also share with them. The stone soup. As a leading woman in technology, the passion that I share, the desire to change the way things are, to change the status quo, the desire to move up, had also with time become the desire of other people around me. So as we move from training just women in technology as regards at the secondary school level, we moved from that point into my own company, where we now mentor young girls who already have their first degree and would actually want to better themselves in one domain or the other. So they not only get trained in course STEM discipline, they also offer their own skill sets. That is, they now also have their own pot of stone soup. My desire and the passion I share is to let every young girl see that all that I had to start with was an empty pot of my desire, my empty pot of my passion that I share with them. And for every young girl out there, obviously, that would be looking at me, I want them to know that their skill, no matter what they are all they need to move up. So it is not just about having everything that other people need. It's just about starting with you. It's not about knowing everything that everybody needs to know. It's about finding what your stone soup will be, and you just make that pot of stone soup. So, at that point, looking back, the last 5 years, for instance, just because I wanted to share my passion, share my desire, I've left traces behind me that others can climb on and move up from there. In 2015, I was nominated to participate in the Transform Africa Summit. In 2016, I was the first prize winner of GIST laureate, a GIST competition, is a competition by the US Department of State. In 2017, I was nominated the country mentor of Google Developers Group Benin chapter, and the only female country mentor in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2018, I won the Outstanding Robotics Mentor Award from an international organization, Force Global. In 2019, January, I was nominated the second vice president of the African ICT Foundation. By June 2019, I was recognized as a STEM figure by the US Embassy in Benin. January 2020, just before the pandemic, the Ministry of Secondary Education and Professional Training recognized me as someone who has an outstanding performance in robotics education. Now in 2020 December, I'm here in front of you, a TED speaker. If you ask me, Rachel, do you have like a diary where you wrote all these things you want to achieve? The big answer is no. All I wanted to do was to make a difference. When I look back at my class that day and I saw 2 girls in technology, I didn't want that to become the face of the world that I continue to see. And that was why I went in the directions of the steps that led me not only to make a change, to be the change I see, just like Gandhi said. So my take on all this is that you should be the difference, like it has been said by Gandhi, that you want to see in the world. Go make that difference. Find what your pot of soup is, or your stone soup. I use a stone soup. Maybe a plastic soup, I don't know. Whatever works for you. Just ensure that those limitations do not stop you from reaching the world. Move up, just start. Thank you.